We actually have time for one more question. This is, I'm afraid, the last question. Go ahead.
I'd like to go back to the Constitution and just about Thomas Jefferson. I believe in individual rights for all and free will. And I'd actually like to direct it. I mean, I know you need your time. I'd like to direct it to both groups. I don't know if I can do that, but just regarding free will and individual rights, what about the rights of property owners and insurance companies, people that run those? They're individuals too. They have their free will and their free rights to discriminate. Discrimination simply means choice. Isn't that true?
Directing it at this.
And both, really. I mean, if they, most of the time to them because it's their turn, but I believe in the rights of gay people and to do what they want to do. But I don't believe in using the government to impose their supposed rights on other people. You violate the rights of somebody when the government gets involved.
Let's do 2 minutes for each side. How's that? Go ahead. Thank you.
I think we're sensitive to this concern, but it's important to remember, as they've reminded us and as we well know, that rights doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, right? That rights means that you have a right to protection from harm. A right is just a protection, and that's what we're seeking here. I mean, you know, murder is a form of discrimination too, but you don't have the right to engage in murder, right? Because it harms people, and the idea is that firing someone for an irrelevant reason, evicting them for an irrelevant reason, this is a kind of harm. And I want to point out something in response to Mr. Christensen, which is actually quite also responsive to your question, which is we are not claiming constitutional fundamental rights. This is not our project. We are not in the Utah Supreme Court. We have not filed a case. We are proposing laws, and we are appealing to the people of Utah for their support.
Law is force on somebody. And
yes, so murder is a form of force. Firing someone,
right,
all of these things.
Laws prevent the use of force on the other people. Yeah, but you're not. You're contradicting yourself.
No, so people can use force against each other, right? And government can use force against people.
No one can use force against each other. That's what Thomas Jefferson said.
Maybe I can describe it. In the sense of imposing boundaries, heterosexuals, the majority, have been imposing their ideas about us for a long time. So they have been, not forcing, but describing what they think about us for a long time. And so...
In what way?
Oh, by calling us an illusion and fantasy, denigrating us.
That's free speech, just like you've got.
Okay, wait. Good question.
So the idea,
let's go.
When we push back and say this is who we are imposing, but we're actually just pushing back saying give us our space to be what we are. And so I can feel how I really hear this vulnerability that heterosexuals have to grapple with their attitudes just the way white people have to grapple with racism. And I know that's a problem, and I know it's really difficult because you haven't had necessary experience that we have had to grapple with what is our sexual orientation. So I really understand that heterosexuals are really going to have to deal with this problem of who are we.
Mr. Mayor, you have 2 minutes left if you want it on your side. Thanks.
You know, we've discussed history a lot tonight, and not in some abstract way. That's a real worry. The California Supreme Court took all the precedent and just dismissed it as mere history. We oftentimes talk about Alexis Tocqueville in American history. He wrote Democracy in America. A contemporary of his was a man named Francis Grund. He came here as an Austrian immigrant. He was so struck by what he called the moral and religious foundation of this new nation, and what he called the domestic habits of the American people. He said there's strong devotion to this religious basis that the founder spoke of so freely and so respectfully. But he said, if you ever change the domestic habits of the American people, he said, you will have changed their Constitution without changing so much as a single letter of it. And so I ask myself again and again, how do we ever arrive at a point where the President of the United States still puts his hand on the Bible, takes the oath of office, he just isn't as free apparently to open it and quote from it and follow it as he once did. Here we can talk about each and every one of these fact patterns that have been raised. We discuss that. Public policy is the process. Our elected representatives, they debate this, they discuss it. Senator McCoy made a very strong case. He stated his arguments. They were listened to for over an hour and a half. A panel of people came forth, had 3 minutes to respond. People then voted on it. You're only hearing and seeing just a little snapshot of that, but that's the great American way, that we the people acting through our representatives, and on occasion, as they did in California and as we did here in Utah, by direct vote as well. And so please understand that I think the level of civility you'd be so proud of at the state capitol, and I'm a witness of it, and I think Senator McCrory would attest to it as well, and I hope it's been prevalent again here this evening. I really do. But I think that we've tried to, as best we can. These are very technical points in many instances, but each of those measures have been debated. They were rejected in this current session. And again, what troubles me is they were presented initially on the heels of the California Proposition 8 response. And I think that was misleading to the people of Utah. Thank you very much.
Time. All right. Okay, on behalf of Quality Utah, Outlaws, and the Sutherland Institute, thank you very much for joining us tonight.